Hi, I'm Peter Ryan, Mechanical Engineering Lecturer at Dundalk Institute of Technology. This is my fourth video in the series Introduction to 3D Printing. In this video, we're going to look at creating a slice file for our 3D printer. Okay, so slicing is the process where we take our solid model and we break it into a series of layers, right, for the 3D printer to print one layer at a time. So in my previous videos, we've already created our geometry file. So we've taken a SolidWorks file, turned it into an STL, and we are then going to use that for our 3D printer. If you're not familiar with Cura, I suggest you look at my third video on an overview to the slicing software. So that gives a much more in-depth view at the Cura and the process in general and how to use the software. This one, I'm just going to show you the specific things needed for this model that we're going to look at. Okay, so if we go to Cura, which I've already opened. Okay, so this is my Cura window. So my 3D printer that I'm going to use today for this file would be my Creality CR10. So again, there are three of these in the CNC workshop in DKT. And I'm going to import my file, and we're going to look at the one from the previous video, so OWC blade EG. And we're going to bring that in. Okay, so that was an STL file that we've imported. And again, because of the way I drew that, it has brought it in on its side. So I'm just going to move it so that it's standing on the bottom of the blade. Okay, that's actually the wrong way. I've turned it upside down. I could print it that way, but I'm going to prefer to do it this way. Okay. So I don't need to do anything else with the actual geometry. I don't need to scale it. I don't need to move it. So we can go up and we can look at our material. It's PLA, 0.4mm nozzle, which is the standard, so that's fine. I'm going to go to preview so you can see the layers. Okay, so you can see it's printing support material down here. And I can even zoom down for you so you can see the support material. Okay, and move on up to the layers. So I'll just check what infill I have. So if we go to the infill, it's 20%. I mean, 20% is probably fine. I might reduce it to 15 just to make it a little quicker, and the time will come up down here. I'm going to leave it on an infill pattern of lines. Yeah, that's what my profile set up to print. So that's printing 100 grams of material. It's taken 11 hours, 22 minutes. And I'll just look at the layers. So a layer height of 0.2, which is standard enough. Walls, just to see how many wall lines we have. So we should have 3, and we can check that by zooming in. So we have 2 inner, which are in green, and our outer in red. So we have 3. Our top and bottom layers is something we can just check what we have. We have 4 in each, which is fine. Again, you probably need those 4, especially for the roof. Support we have turned on, but I'll just show you what settings are in there. So if I turn off support, you'll see that blue lines down here will disappear. Okay, so that's not going to print. Right, so it's printing in thin air. So I'm going to turn on support. Okay. You can see that mine is set to touching build plate, so we print directly under a part that we print support. 60 is the overhang, so that's 60 to the vertical axis or 30 to the horizontal. It will print before it needs support. You can adjust that again if you wanted more support. 50 is sometimes good, but in this part it won't really matter. We can enable support brim, and it should print some support for the brim for the support. So in here you can see the support has no, it just has a line here. So if we weren't printing with a brim, so if I turn off the brim, if I just go back to skirt, for example, okay, so now you can see the support material in light blue along with the skirt here. So what's going to happen there is that support material and even the first layer of the part here may well peel off the build plate. So to give them extra adhesion, you have two options. One, you can enable brim support, and it's going to print a brim on the inside, so internal to the support. Okay, which that is now done. And the other option we have is to turn on the brim here, and you'll see it'll print now on the outside of this. So you probably don't need both, but I'm going to leave both on because I want the extra support around here. Okay, you can adjust the number or the width of the layers or the amount of them, right? Whichever you want to adjust. That will adjust in, the number of layers here, right? On the inside, if it's in here in support, and down under build plate adhesion, you can adjust the brims on the outside here. Again, you have to turn on the visibility if you haven't got it on already. So you can go down here and look at brim width, brim line count, and that will turn those on for you. I have that set to 20, which seems a bit excessive, so let's make that 10, and let's make this one more like 8. Okay, you can play around with these settings, see what works for a particular part or a particular printer as well. So I think that's okay. So I'm going to turn back on all the layers. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else we really need to adjust there. We just turn back on all of this. So we have 100 grams and we have 11 hours. We can play with our speed a little bit. I'm just going to have to turn on visibility again for all the difference. So infill speed, wall speed, outer and inner. We'll go with support speed. There's a few others we need to look at. Travel speed, initial layer speed. Nothing else we need too much in there, I think. Okay, all of these settings you can adjust as you get more experienced at them. But if I was to enable these, you'll see I have some of these settings actually set. But for you guys, I'll copy over a file and I'll share a file with you, and when you open that file as a project, all of my settings will come through to you as well. So I'm looking here, some of these seem a bit low. Our wall speed is probably a bit low. I think our outer one we can probably get away with 35. Inner one we can go higher, 40 or 45 even. We can go with support speed. We can leave that relatively slow if you want. Infill speed is 50. You could even go a little bit with that, but I'll leave it at 60 for now. So I'm down an hour roughly. Travel speed, initial layer is 15. That's probably 20 or 25 is good enough for that. If I move this back up a little bit and you press this or hover over it, yeah, you have to hover over it. You can see your breakdown of your print. So the infill is 30%, and then the inner walls and outer walls are 24 and 15%. Okay, so you can see there's no real point in adjusting the other speeds if you're trying to make your print faster. It's your infill and your inner walls and outer walls that are taking up your time. So we could make the infill or the inner walls a little bit faster. So we can go back up and just check what we had. Our infill was 50 and our inner walls were 45. We're probably not going to go any faster than those. So if you need the part to print faster, you might need to reduce your infill percentage, for example, if you can. You could reduce the number of walls, but that'll weaken your part. The only other option that you have available is to go back up here and consider changing this to a different nozzle, right? So you would have to go into your printer settings, change this, say, to 0.8, for example, and then you would see that your part will print a lot faster. Okay, each layer will print in about half the time, and you can increase the layer height. You can double it. So again, you'll print twice as fast that way. So you should print in about a quarter of the time, and you would need to obviously change the physical nozzle on your printer to match that. So if you are printing large parts, and especially if they're parts like this, where they're cylindrical, the cross-sectional area is the same, you know, or the cross-section is the same at all heights, you don't really need a fine nozzle on this part. So, you know, rather than having a part that's going to take days to print, we could change the nozzle to a 0.8, and that would go much faster. Okay, but that's for another video. So for now, that's my file, and all I'm going to do is save that to the disk. Okay, I'm going to leave it called the default name, which is CR10, and then the name of my part, and it'll be a Gcode. So once you have that saved to your desktop or your folder, you then need to go to the printers, get the SD card for that particular printer, and put it into your laptop. Right? If you don't have an SD slot on your printer, you'll need to get a little adapter. We have them in the workshop beside the printers, little adapter for plugging an SD card into a USB slot. So you'll need those for the desktops at DKT. And you copy over your file onto that, and then you go to the printer and select your file, and I'll show you that in the next video. I'll give you an overview of the menu on our printers, and then how to print the actual file. Okay, thanks very much.